going on, everybody? Obi Wan Kenobi is half in the books. Not sure how I feel about that, if I'm being honest. And we're post episode or part 3, pardon me. This is going to be a short one. It's super early. Neither one of us got to sleep beforehand. We will definitely have a more in-depth breakdown later, but for now, we'll briefly go over the episode. Johnny, what do you think?
Wow. I was not prepared for that. I mean, uh, just wow. I'm still, sort of taken aback. I'm regretting not some of the things I said in the preview, but some of the things that I didn't say in the preview. Especially when we had the questions predicting things to happen. I had a caveat to one of my answers that I didn't speak out loud that had I would have actually borne true, but well, it didn't.
I from a story perspective, I really, really, really liked this episode. From a technical perspective, there are some issues. And then the timeline. I'm sorry, I got to it's. I'm sorry. The back half of that episode is incredibly rushed. And I don't know how I feel, man. I know
It's hard to argue. I mean, the episode worked out to about 39 minutes, 38 minutes and change.
An extra 6 or 7 minutes helps that episode pace better, much better.
Absolutely. I mean, there was definitely moments where it's like, wait, how did they definitely clearly Star Wars and Game of Thrones operate in the same universe because they moved around the galaxy about as fast as they moved around in episode or in season 8 of Game of Thrones.
There's a little bit of that in this for sure, no doubt. I still like season 8 of Game of Thrones. Just this fast forward roadmap, that was frustrating. Again, I really like this episode. The battle was basically what I expected it to be, considering Vader is Prime Vader, at least in the suit, and Kenobi is someone who has just gotten reconnected with the Force and is still very fearful. And I guess the thing that I'm curious about is I have it on pretty good hand that we knew there would be multiple fights in this series between them for a while now. I have it on pretty good authority that there is the whole trying to turn him back from the dark side, and I don't know if they were trying to play on that a little by showing extended shots of Vader at the end. I'm not convinced Vader couldn't have gone around and just gone and killed him. That could be a technical thing too. It would be weird that it happens in the second fight, not the first fight. You'd think you'd try to appeal the first time you see the guy in 10 years and not.
No, I mean, you're definitely right about that. Logically, I mean, we sort of, in all the times we've talked about this, we were under the assumption that it was a 2-fight series, and at least myself, had assumed that, the first fight, Obi-Wan, basically gets his butt kicked, pretty much like he did, only it's at least in part because he's not trying to win, but he's trying to reach Anakin through the Vader. And obviously, I mean, they didn't, even the dialogue was completely one-sided. I don't think Obi-Wan really said anything at all.
I think his job there is just he's trying to buy time to get Leia out of there.
Oh, that's exactly what he's trying to do, and it worked. Obviously, kinda, but it definitely had its moments where I just did not. You talked earlier about some of the technical issues, and that was the big one for me. Lightsabers aren't that bright. Like the glow coming off them was so intense. Specifically, the blue. It felt too much.
I'll disagree with that simply because the only thing I have to reference it off of is when they cut the power at the end of Attack of the Clones with Dooku and Anakin, and it becomes more of a light show because there's no other light around. And again, I don't want to seem like I'm hating. I really like this episode.
Oh, it was a really good episode. I think, and that's probably my only gripe is just that I didn't like how effusive the lighting effects were coming off the lightsabers. But I mean, as far as gripes go, that's still a relatively small one.
I'm bummed we have to wait another week. I am bummed on the runtime too, because I really do feel like we've been probably ripped off of. I shouldn't say ripped off. I mean, yeah, I mean, I think fans can say ripped off when
We
they
can
go.
say we feel ripped off. I mean,
There's probably 15 minutes of footage that should have been in the last two episodes, that weren't. So that aside, really like the story, like the Leia Obi-Wan complex. Did not care at all for the planet that they went to. It was typical. Oh, hey, it's a rocky terrain or a desert or etc. And it's just like we've seen so much of that. Let's mix it up. We got to go to Nur, which is cool. But yeah, I didn't care for the.
you didn't like New Mexico, the Star Wars planet?
Yeah, the Vader getting put back together scene. Yeah, that dude even goes through more than what I thought. I didn't know he had like the pipes go right into him or whatever, or the cords go right into him. He's a mess. Like, we knew it was bad. I don't know if we knew it was that bad.
No, absolutely. I mean, it was different seeing it. Like, we'd always seen it, and if anything, it made it worse for me because, like, I sort of thought the pieces were more permanent in some of the places.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like especially the face, the modulator around the face that helped it breathe. At least to me, when you actually finally see him, take off the faceplate and you get to see Anakin in Return of the Jedi, it seemed like that was like permanently. It didn't look like you could remove that plate. And obviously, here we see him now. He's basically, naked in the Bacta, with the exception of the, tentacles of whatever.
Yeah.
Like direct Bacta injections into his body or whatever it is. I don't know. His concentrated hate, maybe. I don't know. But, it was definitely a lot more than I thought it was.
I will say this. I'm definitely hoping for way more out of the second fight. Even for that, I don't know if it was choreographed great.
I thought the actual combat was good. It just wasn't long enough.
Well, again, the length thing. I thought that this was the most Star Wars has felt like a horror movie.
Very much so. It was definitely
they captured it was that Vader seemed like the villain in a horror movie.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, not just from the way he moved, but from the way they sort of presented him, sort of popping up and appearing. Not actually seeing him move throughout the quarry was a great effect, and seeing Obi-Wan hiding from him basically was amazing. I mean, it felt like again, small gripe, but when he ignited the lightsaber the first time and then sheathed the blade and tried to run away again, felt unnecessary, considering he was about to reignite it and continue the battle. Like,
I mean, as you said, it takes away the light. Maybe he thought he was going to stay hidden, but
I mean, he reignited it like 10 seconds later. I mean,
man, I don't want this to come across like so negative, so I don't want to dive into this. All I will say on this front, in terms of the technical side, is this: stagecraft stood out like a sore thumb in this episode.
I will honestly say I did not notice that at all.
Oh wow!
To me, I didn't.
Now that's I could see it. It was bothering the hell out of me.
That could just be because I wasn't really looking. I think that's just a testament to the story. That I'm not taking the time to sort of look at the background elements or things like that. I was just so engrossed in the story and the characters. Part of it was trying to figure out who Frick was, because I knew the voice, but I couldn't figure out who it was until the end. And I saw the name in the credits. And I was like, oh.
Who was it?
Zach Braff.
I don't know if I know who that is.
You'd probably know him to see him. Scrubs, Garden State.
Oh, black hair guy?
Yes.
Okay. Kenny says that he liked the episode. He's given it an 8 out of 10. Zach says that was fucking nuts. This is awesome. I don't know. I'm gonna hold off on a score for now. I'm sure you'll see me tweet out a score in the next couple of days. I need to watch it another time or two when I'm not dying of tiredness. But my early thought is this actually might be my least favorite episode of the 3 so far.
Really?
I'm the
Elements opposite.
Love, like obviously Vader, Kenobi, great, but the time thing and the jumping around and the fast forward really took me out of it at times.
Those things hurt, but they didn't hurt so detrimentally to the point that it wasn't until I'm sitting here, talking with you and looking back on it that I realized some of these things that affected me. But in the moment, I definitely thought that was my favorite episode, just because of the little things, the car ride obviously speeder, transport, whatever, ride with Frick with Leia. That was just such a real moment. You talked about earlier about how you get those sort of, that brings a tear to your eye. That one did it for me. When Leia, are you my dad? Are you my real father? Like, and Obi-Wan's response of no, I wish I was, which was an interesting response.
I think he meant it in terms of, I wish your real father didn't turn into a mass murderer who is responsible for your mother's death.
Well, of course, but I mean, it's we don't really see the paternal side to Obi Wan Kenobi, very often.
He's definitely battling with himself, trying to allow that to come out at times, and then he snapped at her a couple of times this episode too, and so it was good though. I'm sorry, man. I'm really tired.
It's not 4:00 in the morning or anything.
My favorite element was that they made it feel like a horror movie. It was really good in that regard. There was suspense, which you don't get a lot of that in Star Wars. The closest comparison I can think of is the beginning of Knights of the Old Republic 2. So, I enjoyed it. Favorite parts, man?
I mean, for me, I think it's probably that the ride with Frick. I think it's my favorite. Because obviously, the fight with Vader, well, of course, but that kind of goes without saying. But the Leia and Obi-Wan interactions throughout the whole episode were just so good. To me, like we talked about it before, that chemistry is just undeniable, and it saddens me that we're not going to see these two interact again. Beyond this, because I don't really see a way to go back to that without it being too ham-fisted. I'm saying once this series ends.
Oh yeah. They meant like they're not going to see each other.
No. I mean, once we get to the end of episode 6 and this series is kaput, once Leia is safely back in the arms of the Organas on Alderaan, that they're not going to see each other again until. Well, no, they're not going to see each other again.
Leia sees him from a distance, and that's it.
Barely. I mean,
it's
I specifically love the moment. That's not the trope that we've gotten throughout Star Wars now in the Disney era. That's not how the Force works. It was fun seeing that. I openly chuckled at that very loudly.
I think one of the big reveals in this episode, Quinlan Voss still alive.
Yeah. I'll say this: if we do not inevitably get a Liam Neeson cameo, I will be so angry at this series. They are working so hard to set that up. He is in 2 of the 3 episodes so far. We have seen him actively trying to.
All 3.
Was there one in the second episode? I couldn't remember if he did in the second episode.
Really
but, okay, then.
Because I could really use your guidance right now, man.
Oh, you're right. So in each of the 3 episodes, we've seen him reaching out, trying to, communicate with Qui-Gon, and obviously, I think Quinlan's message is going to help him. Close your eyes and see the path. I think that's going to, be relevant again because it's too on the nose as a quote for it to not be somehow relevant later on. Whether that's the Qui-Gon story or not, I don't know.
Or his death.
What?
Also, what Kenobi does right before his death, same with Qui-Gon.
Yeah.
They both close their eyes. And Qui-Gon not in the fight, but he closes his eyes in the meditation thing, which before Maul, and then Kenobi literally closes his eyes. And I know the new rumor there is Vader may not have ever even killed Kenobi, and he may have just become one with the Force like that, and that explains the robe fall.
Just like Luke did. Which makes sense.
Adds up. So it would make Vader think he killed him, but in reality he didn't. Anyways, though, I think that's going to do it. We're 16 minutes deep into this thing, and I'm eyeing an hour's sleep here. So we'll be back with a much bigger breakdown of the episode. Can't wait to dive into it, man.
It'll be more fun. I'll probably watch it again. I enjoyed it that much.
Me too. That's it for now. Like, subscribe, notification bell, all that good shit. Certainly didn't have the high ground in that episode.
No, he did not.